Are you ready, Alan?
We are ready.
All right, you gonna put the flag on so we can sit here and look at that?
I sure can.
All right, instead of everyone standing up and turning around or something?
Yep.
All right, at this time, I am calling to order the regularly scheduled committee meeting for the Village of Midlothian, Wednesday, May 6, 2020 at 7:01 p.m. Roll call, please.
Trustee Cady?
Here.
Trustee Crowley?
Here.
Trustee Gillis? Here. Trustee Ivan?
Here.
Trustee Killily? Here. Trustee Kreis?
Here.
Mayor LaRue?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk Moskowitz, is there any comments from the public tonight?
Yes, we have two. The first item is from Jean Bartecki. Could you report three things for me tonight? Number one, thank you to the police department and fire department for the birthday parades. By any chance, could this be ongoing for the kids? I know my niece Mackenzie loved it and said it was the best birthday ever. It just makes it a small town feeling, so thank you all again for doing a good job. The second item is the sign out by the parking lot. It looks very nice. I thought it was going to have a small flower box to plant annuals in front of it. No big deal, it does look very nice. And the third item Jean said was, I miss seeing you all. Stay safe and healthy, and thank you so much for everything you guys do to make the village a better place. Miss you, Jean.
Oh, thank you, Jean.
Thank you, Jean. Yes, there'll be a planter box as part of that sign eventually, so still in progress.
Yeah. And I think relative to Jean's first item, as best I know, I think our police and fire department do the best they can to participate in as many of these parades as they can.
Yes.
But I've not heard that there's any plans for that to change, correct?
Correct.
I have to say, living across the street from St. Chris, I've seen a couple of those birthday parades take off out of the St. Chris parking lot, and it was just it's so exciting. I stand out on my porch and wave to everyone. It's so fun. They came by for my daughter's 21st birthday last Wednesday, and they carded her and everything. It was fun. I hope they brought her a six-pack too. No.
I think they do a lot for the community. The only thing that concerns me is that I know, like, once everything opens up again, it probably will be more difficult depending on calls and things like that to get to everyone. So
Correct. Okay, anything else? Clerk Moskowitz.
Yep, we have a second item is an email that Deputy Clerk Kulacki and I received from Mr. Alex Cardenas, 14556 Sawyer, Village of Midlothian Clerks. I hope you find yourselves in good health upon receiving this email. I've made several attempts to make contact via phone, via in person, via email with Village Building Superintendent Weiner. I called the office again today, 5/1/2020, in the attempt to reach Mr. Weiner. However, he was out of the office. I spoke to Gwen and explained to her my situation with the fence and Mr. Weiner. I asked for guidance in helping find a reasonable solution to my fence issue. Gwen was kind enough to hear me out, was understanding to my concern, and advised forward my email to both of you in hopes you could kindly present it to the village board for further guidance. My request being reasonable and was made with the previous building administration's guidance. I kindly ask for your help. Any and all help with this matter is greatly appreciated. Respectfully, Alexander Cardenas.
I would like to address this email, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Kevin.
Thank you. I happen to be at the Village Hall on Friday, May 1st, when Glenn came over to me and told me that Mr. Cardenas had called with regards to his fence permit application. I believe that his fence, and I had sent a series of questions to both of the building clerks so I could kind of piece all of the different, timeline together on this matter. And I believe that Mr. Cardenas may have dropped his permit off sometime in the evening of the 29th, which was last Wednesday. On Thursday, April 30th, his permit was received by Dana. It was processed. It was given to Superintendent Weiner for review. He was not able to approve the permit at the time, so he called Dana into his office, explained why the permit could not be approved, and then Dana proceeded, as the clerks do, contacted the homeowner and explained to him the circumstances. Later on that day, Mr. Cardenas came to the village hall, contacted Dana, and said he was outside and would like to speak to Superintendent Weiner. I know for certain that Superintendent Weiner was not available most of the afternoon on the 30th because he was in a meeting with the mayor. He was over in a meeting at the fire department, and after his fire department meeting, he was on a conference call with me for an hour and a half. And at the end of his day, he left the office, and apparently when he left the office, Mr. Cardenas was still outside, but was in conversation with Dana. And Mr. Cardenas happened to notice Nick walk out the door and said, "Oh, is that him?" And Dana said yes, but by the time she saw Nick, he was already at the bottom of the ramp into the parking lot on the way to his car, and she did not yell for him to come back. Mr. Cardenas called the office on Friday morning and spoke to Gwen and was told that he was off for the day. So Gwen explained the circumstances to me. I said I would speak to Nick on Monday when he got in the office. So Monday rolls around, Nick proceeds with his day, and let's see, Mr. Cardenas sent Nick a follow-up email on Monday at 3:52 p.m. At that time, Nick was en route to his home to take a look at his fence, because initially, Mr. Cardenas had sent Nick an email late on April 30th, which was Thursday, at 11 p.m. Nick was not in the office on Friday, so he never saw the email. And in his email, he asked Nick if there was a possibility he could come out and take a look at the property. And so that's exactly what Nick did on Monday afternoon. Mr. Cardenas sent his follow-up email at 3:52, and Nick sent him a reply at 3:59. And in his reply, Nick did advise him that the village ordinances are pretty specific, and he really does not have the authority to not follow the ordinances. However, in the spirit of the intent of the purpose of the ordinance, which is public safety, Nick did give him a reasonable accommodation to his request. So the permit can be approved. Mr. Cardenas, I don't know if Mr. Cardenas is in agreement with Nick gave him, and Nick and I can certainly follow up with him some more to get this further ironed out, but his request and his communication with Nick was addressed. And I checked with the clerks, and at no time did Mr. Cardenas leave a voicemail for Nick at all, or ask to leave a voicemail for Nick. He was in communication with the clerks. They communicated to Nick, and Nick did communicate with Mr. Cardenas via email. Mr. Cardenas never left Nick any voicemails at all. So his concern has been addressed. And we can follow up again with them tomorrow if need be.
Perfect. Thank you. Anything else, Clerk Moscow?
That is the last of the public comment we received.
Thank you, sir. All right, moving on to trustee business. Trustee Kreis.
I don't actually have anything to report on. All of my committees, of course, are not meeting, and so things are kind of at a standstill, although the work continues on the Natalie Creek Trail, the phase 1 engineering. The one thing I did want to bring up again tonight, because I'm a little bit disappointed again, is the census. I looked at numbers today, and Midlothian is at 65.6%. I looked at other communities near us with probably similar demographics. Crestwood 67.8%, Homewood 73.6%, Orland Park 74.8%, a lot of them, Flossmoor 74.8%. And I brought this up on April 15th. And I think we were assured that something was going to get on the village Facebook page, and there's nothing else out. There's nothing on there. Nothing to put out. No updates as far as I could tell on the village website or on the village's Facebook page. And I think we need to get some information, which I'm working on trying to obtain some, in Spanish out to the residents. I really think that that is the demographic we're not reaching. And again, this could really affect the revenue that we get in the future if we don't get everybody to be counted.
I agree. Deputy Clerk Kulak, you guys can't see it, but she reached out to our census people, and we got a bunch of these new signs that we're going to start putting out throughout the village. And I just talked to Trustee Ivan today about getting a postcard out to residents in English and Spanish. So we are working on it. It's just taking some time.
Well, we also...
And I don't necessarily, I guess, I don't know that a postcard would be ideal. I think, you know, the people that have computers are people like us that know how to use them are probably doing it. I just think sometimes the postcards don't necessarily always work. I really think we've got to find a way to reach the Hispanic population, and it's going to be more one-on-one. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me, but that's going to be our challenge, and I think it's a unique challenge.
Well, how do we identify where our Spanish-speaking population lives, and who are we going to send out there to speak to them?
I don't know.
How many employees speak Spanish?
I don't know. So I'm trying to get some materials in Spanish that we can at least get on the website and on the village's Facebook page. But
putting signs out that are in Spanish.
In Spanish, that might help. But again, I think that population might be just a little bit afraid to answer the census, even though they shouldn't. And that's going to be our challenge, getting that kind of information out.
Gary, are any of those signs in Spanish?
We did not receive any today that were in Spanish, but we'll continue to look into that and hopefully we can get some in Spanish, yes.
Okay.
And that is all I have this evening.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Ivan.
To address the census situation, we have updated our phone call when you call the village. There's a mention of the census on that. We'll also start investigating the census website, and we have some choices on Spanish cards, postcards, and stuff that we can post to our website. I just have to have it evaluated before we determine if that's going to work or be useful to use on our website and our Facebook page.
Okay.
Well, in the meantime, can we put any kind of blurb on our Facebook page about it? About the census?
I mean, we can certainly put a picture of the sign up there. If there's any text that somebody wants to send, I can put that up there too. I mean, I can take some pictures of that sign tonight.
Well, that would work. That would work good.
Yeah.
If we have copy of text somewhere to put along with it, or some type of, announcement or press release, something like that, I'm happy to do that. I don't have the time to write it myself in the next 2 days, but I can post it if somebody has it, something we can copy here. As Karen said, as a R&D.
And I'm trying to work on getting something in Spanish.
I think there's stuff on the census website and on, I think, Illinois Municipal League had something on there in English and Spanish as well for the census, just so everybody knows.
That's very true.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Trustee Ivan, we had a nice conversation about this, and I asked you if we could maybe, if they were still handing out lunches at the school or breakfast, that we could put a flyer with the lunches that were being handed out. Is any progress made on that, or is that not possible? Or?
It's probably possible. I have not talked to the school district about it. I'm more worried about what content should be on the flyer. And the website has quite a few examples to go through. So I'm in the process of evaluating them that I think might be worthwhile for us.
I think a lot of people we're talking about are not necessarily computer people. They may use it a little bit. I think maybe their children, their students use it more than they do. And I think since we know that, the students have computers at home that they're doing homework with, it might be a natural thing to give them the flyer and to help them with an example how they would log on to do the census very easily. Maybe their child could help them do it. But I think putting things on not that the website's bad, but I think the people we haven't reached yet are the people that really aren't a lot on the computer, and I think that's just one example, maybe the different kind of contact that we can reach out to them. I think we have to reach out to them in different ways.
What about, I know that our businesses are struggling and things like that, but what if we asked some of our businesses that are open and doing delivery, if we dropped off flyers, if they were to fix them to their delivery packages for us and get it out to people that way?
That's actually probably a good idea, especially to the restaurants that have Mexican cuisine, because those are going to be that would be the target audience. And again, I think everybody is so focused on COVID right now that everybody is just focused on COVID. So whatever we can do to get the message out, census has kind of fallen, I think, in a lot by the wayside. It's not a priority.
Okay, we'll keep working on it.
Yes, definitely.
Anything else, Trustee Ivy?
Oh, I didn't realize it was my turn.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna skip number 1 for the moment and go right to the abatement ordinance. It's basically the same as last year, except for the dollar amounts changing. Basically, we're abating bonds that we basically don't need the money for, I guess, would be the best description of it. Did anybody have any questions on the abatement ordinance?
I guess I do, because, hold on a minute, because let me go grab the one that we passed.
Didn't we pass one of these already this year?
Yeah, we did.
We pass every year.
We passed,
Yes, we did it already.
we did. We passed it on March 20th. And the difference is, so the amount for the 2010A, you want to explain the differences, Trustee Ivan? Maybe you can explain it better than I can.
Well, I have none of that material in front of me, so I don't have the March 20th.
Okay, so on the March 20th for the 2010A, we were abating $364,140. On the new one, the proposed one, it's $211,907. The 2013 remains the same. And then there was, there was $55,899 added for 2019B, and then there was $130,458 added for Series 2020. So the amount, there's a difference in the amount of the levy, and there's a difference in the amount of the abatement, and then there is a difference in the amount not abated and still levied.
All right, let's do it this way. Why don't you send your question to our treasurer, and then she'll reply back to you on exactly why she was doing it the way she was.
Well, can I just ask a question? We approved an abatement ordinance already on March 20th. Why are we doing this one? Added to it?
Like I said, we'll have to address the treasurer on why she wants to do it.
There was.
I got an email from Maggie, and it was for the Java bonds.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about the JAWA bonds. For some reason, the county still has the JAWA bonds listed. I was going to ask you about that, Don. I'm sorry I didn't follow up with you on it. Why? Do you have any idea why the county would still have those after we shut it down?
They're abated till 2023.
Well, supposedly we shut it all down when we pulled out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is that correct, Don?
Supposed to be paid off.
Yeah, no, they're dated to 2023. That's what her email says.
Didn't we run into this last year and we had to redo the abatement ordinance deleting the general bond?
Well,
General bond should be paid off. That's a long time ago.
I can talk to the
It's
treasurer.
a problem
but
last
I
year.
think what was happening, but there was something about it was being abated, and we had that money that wasn't there something about this? I do remember this last year when I was trying to forget about Joe.
Amalgamated Bank, I think, was our bugaboo there, the one who handles the funds, that they said they still were due money, and I thought we had that settled last year.
Well, again,
Yeah, if folks don't mind, let me just share something. I was copied on this, but it looks like it came Monday when I was in close to books land for my day job. And just find the Zoom window here real quick. So Maggie sent this message. Hopefully folks can read this. But as you know, we passed an abatement ordinance in March. Arden, who's the person at the Cook County Extension Office, called me in April to ask if we needed to abate the JAWA bonds. I told him they were off our books now because the JAWA was dissolved, and he said that we still needed to abate them through 2023. We went over all the bonds, both old and new, and it was discovered that the village needed to abate an additional bond, the 2019 A bond, to make sure that the debt service level stays the same from year to year. I've attached a revised abatement ordinance showing the abatement for the JAWA bonds and for the 2019 A bonds. In the next few days, I will revise the debt service schedule that I have provided the board in the past to show what bonds the village has and the annual principal and interest for each one.
Thank you, Alan.
did I explain it?
That's pretty close.
Okay.
Alan, could you forward that to us?
Yes, I will. The other question I have, I guess, would be for the attorney. We already approved an ordinance. So, should this be something else, or do we repeal that ordinance, or do we, what's the proper, we don't just pass a new ordinance with the same information?
I'm trying to look at the two ordinances right now. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at both ordinances to see whether.
Okay, I just want to be sure that if this is something we're going to act on next week, we do it the right way.
Yes.
I don't think there's something we need to do to find an ordinance, we have to rescind an ordinance, pass a new one, whatever the right way is. I want to be sure we handle that the right way.
Absolutely.
Perfect.
I will forward that right now to everyone.
Right.
In the meantime then, Carl, can you follow up with Maggie and ask her if she can get us that spreadsheet that shows all the bonds with principal and interest, like she said in her email to Alan and...
Debt service she's going to have to pay.
Yeah. Carl, did you hear me?
I don't understand what you're asking.
She said in the email that she would forward the debt service schedule.
Okay.
She was working on it, she'll forward it.
Yeah. All right. Going to my next one, discussion on the NICOR agreement. We changed that from 50 years to 25 years in the agreement. It's fairly straightforward. Is there any questions about that?
Well, it was 16 pages, and I wasn't going to reread 16 pages all over again after I already gave you a red line version, so I'm not sure what was accepted or what wasn't accepted. So can the attorney let us know what comments were accepted and what were not?
I believe, the only thing I know for certain is that the ordinance went from 50 to 25 years.
And?
Well, for the NICOR agreement, that was the only change that
That
we...
was the only change.
That was the only change.
That was the only change for NICOR that I recall.
For NICOR.
Yeah.
That was the only change what?
For NICOR.
For the NICOR agreement.
Okay? All right, so then I would like to have that on the NICOR agreement on the consent agenda, if that's possible.
Yes.
Then the next thing would be the Comcast agreement.
That's the 16-page document.
Right.
So there were numerous changes to that as well. But otherwise, it was, again, fairly straightforward. Any questions about that?
Again, can somebody tell us what was accepted and what wasn't accepted? I know that I sent comments and questions to this document a long time ago, and I don't recall ever getting a response back to any of the comments or questions.
Let's see. It looks like Mr. Murphy addressed your questions to Johan from Comcast on, let me see, it's October 14th, looking through here. I'm trying to get to the last of the email chain here. Okay. It appears that they were addressed on September 20th, 2019. I'm trying to see if you got a copy of that, trustee. No, it doesn't look like you did get a copy of it. What I could do is I'll have Mr. Murphy forward you some of the changes to make sure those were the last ones. But I do have, he does address the questions that you had with Johan, and he does respond with them. So I can, before you pass it next week, I will get you those responses and the...
Send them to everybody, please.
Okay.
I don't care. Does everybody want a copy? Does everybody care?
Sure.
Yes.
You know, we can get it in the red line version so we can see the changes?
Yes, I think Mr. Murphy, what he did is he took out the issues that trustee Caveney had, and then Johan responded to them by section with his response as to what his input was.
All right, you'll forward that to the board?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
All right.
What's next?
Can I ask one question of Attorney Valdez? We had a problem with ComEd from using, because they didn't want to move their utilities for free for the Natalie Creek project. And I believe the same wording was in the ComEd contract that they had to abide by all our ordinances. Same wording as in Comcast and NICOR. But is there any way of emphasizing any of our ordinances in this contract so that they realize that, if other stormwater management projects are undertaken, that they have to move their lines for no charge, and we won't have to go through this rigmarole that we've actually gone, or I don't know if we're still going through with ComEd, but we were going through with ComEd.
Yes, I can look into that. I will find these provisions in the Comcast franchise agreement. And just to be clear, that whether they think we really mean it or whether they consider it to be boilerplate language, the village does have home rule authority, and we can impose those particular requirements of them. As a practical matter, obviously Comcast and ComEd have unlimited legal dollars, and they may have a different posture than other people who we tell to get their stuff off our land. But at the end of the day, the latest update, I guess I can give you today, it's not, it wouldn't come underneath my report for a closed session. But ComEd has agreed that the franchise agreement and our ordinance applies to the Natalie Creek movement of their utilities, and they've agreed that they will move them. The next step for us is get them to move them in a timely fashion, and what appears to be just an effort of them, because they're ComEd, to say, but we're not going to pay for the parking lot guy wire movement because that's not a public works project. For the life of me, as I look at the two projects, how they're laid out, how that guy wire cuts through the parkway and completely reduces the ability of the village to lay out that parking lot. I don't know how they came up with that. In all good faith, I can say, I think they just decided that we'd be happy with the Natalie Creek change and that we'd let the guy wire thing go because it's several $1,000s and not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Our position is that I will draft ComEd a letter saying, we want to know when you're going to move the stuff for Natalie Creek, and we don't accept your judgment on the guy wire, and we want to know when you're going to move that.
Attorney Valadez, I thought that letter was already done. Could you, if at all possible, make that a priority, and could you send me a copy of it when it's done?
Sure, absolutely. The reason
Okay.
that it didn't go out is because they responded and said that they agreed with us and that they were going to move the Natalie Creek stuff. This came out last week, and so I wanted to consult with the board to find out whether they're on board with me pushing them. Well, I'm going to do it either way, but the board will have to decide how far we want to take the guy wire issue, because that would entail writing them up, writing them citations for not moving the guy wire.
Well, let's hope a strong letter might get their attention. I can't believe that they would say this isn't, I mean, it's village-owned property. It's all village property. How it cannot benefit.
Trustee,
I don't understand it.
Trustee, it's my opinion that they have a better leg to stand on the Natalie Creek project than they do on the guy wire, because at least in the Natalie Creek, the reason we want them to move it is because we can't get the equipment through the wires. And but for the fact that the equipment can't get to where it has to go to move the wires, that's why we want them to move it. They have a better argument to say, hey, look, we're not in the way, your equipment just doesn't fit, figure out a way to get it underneath there. But with the guy wire, it clearly diminishes the ability of the village to do anything with that property for egress, because it cuts across the property that way. So to make a long story short, there's no distinction between the two. And they've agreed that the ordinance and the franchise agreement applies to the Natalie Creek project.
Okay, you'll send that letter?
Yes.
Forward it to Karen?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I just love to get this project underway.
Anything else, Trustee Ivan?
Yes, the water increase. On an annual basis, the city of Chicago increases their water every year. That goes through the mid-March. Their board makes a decision then to pass that increase on to us. And we now have my motion to, for next week hopefully, to increase the water to cover the additional costs that come with this increase from the city of Chicago. Basically, followed a suggestion from Trustee Killalay on doing this. Do you have any questions about the water increase?
Well, I spoke to Trustee Ivan earlier, and I do have a question. So last year, I remember when we were discussing the water rate increase, we discussed that we were going to have some education for the residents, because you know, if you look at the numbers, the numbers show that the water is increasing by 10 cents per 1,000 gallon or whatever, 1,000 gallons, whatever that is. But our increase is showing on the spreadsheet that Megan sent out as 20 cents. And I remember when we had this discussion last year, Trustee Killalay had said that other money is used for other funds to maintain the integrity of our water system and things like that, which I had forgotten about until looking at this and then talking to Trustee today, because I just didn't remember that. But you know, we did say we were going to do some education for the residents so that people understand what the rate is. I know we had some dates scheduled last year that for some reason had to be changed. I really don't even remember, but it seems like that's just kind of fallen off the wagon. And I think it's important when we're going to have these rates, especially in this time right now when we're dealing with talking about other services and stimulus packages and things that, people out of work, I think it's important that we explain to the residents why this is going up and what it funds, and so that they can understand it, so that you don't have a lot of people that don't understand, all of a sudden they open their water bill and they see an increase. So that's
We can
how.
also do some comparables too, because if we do comparables, they're going to see that our water rate is relatively cheaper than most communities around us.
Yeah, and that's what we discussed last year, Trustee Gillis, is we were going to have this meeting, and we were going to allow residents who are all upset about to come in and talk about their water bill and learn about what those fees apply for. I mean, it's just information and education, so that they're armed with the right information and they know what they're paying for. I think we need to do that.
We included that in every State of the Village address, so that information is available. We could probably get it out somehow.
Trustee Kelly?
No, I remember, and I think we even put something on the one of the newsletters about water bills. But I think people getting, what we discussed last year was people getting the opportunity to know, again, we showed pages and pages of information, and people look at it and, it doesn't really explain how things get, something as simple as explaining, there'll be an increase in your water bill starting June 6th. The reason for it's 20 cents or 10 cents, 20 cents per gallon. This is what that goes for. None of this money is going to the village. I just think that just makes it simple for people to understand. I mean, that's what I get when other things raise.
I agree. Explanation should, we should put out an explanation of why we increased it. Trustee Killedy, how were we going to handle it last time? We were going to have a general meeting or some type?
We're gonna have a town hall meeting.
The Superintendent Sperry had a speaker lined up on how we could, talking about how we could save money on our water usage if we did some simple fixes on our water usage, some simple things they could buy and add on. And that schedule got goofed up, and so that's why we never had it. But I would propose that maybe we could, since we can't have a meeting with people, that we could do a Facebook Live.
We could do that.
Is that something that's interesting or not?
Would that solve your getting it out there
I mean,
question?
we could do about the same thing. Not going to be able to have a.
Joe said he was going to have a plumber.
I think we're going to be able to have a meeting sometime.
I guess, Don, my question would then be, how do we get the information out to people? Because not everybody's on the computer. Not everybody's on Facebook. So how do we get that information out to people that, hey, we're going to have a Facebook Live? I see what Sandy's saying, and I think it's important. We really need to be communicating this information, and especially now because so many people are out of work. And people, again, are just, they're just dealing with trying to get by day to day. So if we're going to tack anything on a bill, we really need to explain what it's for and why.
Okay. I mean, I think you're putting us in a different category than every other department, but, I don't know what other departments, raise things and they don't have to explain it for. And basically.
What departments are you talking? Well, hold on, Don. What departments are you talking about that raise things and don't have to explain them?
Well, I mean, there's an expenditure. There's things like we have not to talk about building cover. I'm totally satisfied with the building department presentation about the fees. In total agreement, but
they're not raising fees for the residents.
For the businesses there, which is totally justified. I'm not saying anything about that at all. I wouldn't say, I've looked at it with Justin Caveney and I've talked about it, but you're not asking Bill, it's the same thing. You know, and for what people are actually going to be paying, it's going to be somewhere between $6 and $20 a year. I mean, you can get that on one contest bill. I don't mind doing that, but, you know, for the last 2 years, you didn't give me any extra money.
That's actually, we passed it last year.
And the water rate increase. Pardon me?
Last year we passed the increase.
We didn't give us any extra money in the last 2 years.
Well, no one's asked me for it because the last time, I remember the last time we were asked to pass an ordinance for raising the fees because the fee was raised, we passed that on. I thought it was last year. If it wasn't, I didn't vote no on it. Why didn't someone bring us I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but I certainly am not going to remember what every department increases every year.
No, we'll be glad to create a Facebook Live, and I think Trustee Caveney and myself had a nice conversation about maybe one more newsletter that maybe, you know, could ask for emails for people, so we're not going to have a printed email, newsletter, or maybe not so often, but we can certainly put that in there too, for two different mediums of information that we can explain to people in more detail about what actually the water department does.
Well, and I also think too,
The water department does.
in addition to what you said, and to address your comment on, you know, that nobody else is asked to do these things, I first of all, I don't think that's true at all. But second of all, if you look, in my opinion, with feedback that I've seen for the village with regards to everything that goes on, this is just from what I see, one of the biggest questions we get in the village is about the water bill. It's always plastered on Facebook. I know, at least I believe that the front desk is getting calls or getting emails regarding their water bill. So, I mean, I think it's something that people at least voice that they have questions about and concerns about. In addition to things like not stopping at stop signs, which we've tried to address and done a lot of things to try to, you know, so I don't think that it's true that we're, I mean, I kind of took it like you were saying we were picking on public works, but I don't think that's true. I think it'll actually do the exact opposite and make people's jobs a little bit easier instead of our staff and our department heads getting calls screaming about, why did my bill go up this much? Why did this happen? You know, I think that education will give them at least the information for those who want to know, so that they don't have all of those questions and concerns.
We did stuff in the newsletter. All about your water bill. We already did that. But I mean, I do think the emphasis here should be on helping people cut their water bill by saving on their water usage. I think that should be the main focus of this whole thing.
Trustee, why don't...
I do think the workshop is a good idea, and we'll see if we can do a Facebook Live and do something in some sort of printed format and go from there.
Trustee, why don't me and you get together and we'll discuss a way to promote this correctly. All right?
Kathy, go ahead. I'd like to speak after Kathy soon.
Okay, I have a question. I've got a question with regards to the letter that came from the Mid-Mark Water Commission. I'm a little confused about their comment that previously the rate was $3.98. Currently the rate is $4.12. So that looked like it was a 14-cent increase. But when
$3.98 is what goes to Midmark. Midmark charges us, doesn't just pass that along. They actually add on a fee for themselves because they have their own system they have to maintain. So it isn't exactly a pass-through from Chicago. Midmark does add on a little bit when they sell the water or charge us for the water from Markham and Midlothian.
So
Chicago
currently,
charges
the letter says that currently we're paying $4.12.
right.
Right.
The prior sentence says previously the rate was $3.98. Was that the rate from last year?
That,
The way I think it was $3.98 was what Chicago, or $4.08 was what Chicago charges, $3.12 is what Midmark charges, and it's gonna be raised to $4.22. That's how I read it.
No, $4.08 from City of Chicago is the new rate that they're gonna start charging us.
right,
Right.
right,
I don't know what the previous City of Chicago rate was.
$3.98,
$3.98.
$3.98. That's what previous charge.
Yeah.
So Kathy,
The first,
I'm sorry, the difference between the 398 and the 412 is the markup that they charge to maintain their system, correct?
Yes,
yeah, right, Karen, yep, that's correct. Chicago charges Midmark $3.98, Midmark charges Midlothian $4.12.
and then Chicago's raising it to
408.
408, and Midmark's charging us $4.22.
Okay, all right.
All right, we have to have this done by, what was it, June 1st?
June 1st, it goes into effect.
Could I ask a question?
Yes.
So if we do go to 422, then we're gonna kick it up another 10 cents, or it'll be 432?
Now, we charge double what Midmark charges us,
Right?
so it's eight something, 838, currently?
35.
838.
835.
So we just,
The proposed increase, Jerry, is 20 cents. If you look at the third attachment on board docs,
Yeah,
little spreadsheet that Maggie included. So currently, we're charging $8.15, and they're looking to raise it to $8.35. So the village is raising it 20 cents.
per thousand.
Per
1,000 gallons.
1,000 gallons.
And
So,
I know the difference between the amount that we're the 10 cents or 8 cents, whatever it is, difference is gonna go into the water fund, trustee Ivan?
Yes, correct. Because our water fund is running a little low. Right, Dan?
It is.
And the water fund is used to maintain all of our water lines. Like we have a big project coming up on 147th Street that we're replacing the water line there to connect up to the Cicero. That needs replacement.
It's the effect is on a quarterly minimum bill, it's $1.25.
All right.
Okay, anything else?
If nobody else has any other questions, I am done.
Okay, moving on to trustee Gillis.
yes, starting Sunday the 17th, running through the 23rd is EMS week. We have a proclamation that I'd like to have us approve at the mayor read next week. This is basically a yearly thing. As you know, this week is Nurses Appreciation Week. So follow that with everything going on. I think this is a really good thing. I look forward to our community observing not only EMS week, but appreciating our employees in this time. So that is going to be a really big thing. And the theme for this year is ready for today, preparing for tomorrow. I know that we have in the past put it on the website, put it on the marquee, so if we can continue to do that. I don't know if there's anything else we can do. This is an important week for our residents to observe for the help that they've been given above and beyond what we normally expect from our EMS personnel. Also during the meeting on the 13th, the fire chief will be announcing the Paramedic of the Year Award for this year, 2020. So that will be a nice presentation. I believe that's all I have.
Thank you, sir. Trustee Cavey.
thank you, Mayor. First thing that I would like to do is give a shout out to Midlothian resident Sean Berger. She created a program on Facebook called Adopt a Senior. And this program is for any District 228 parent to put a nice post on Facebook on the Adopt a Senior page to let the community know how wonderful their high school senior is. These kids have had, you know, the end of their high school has been kind of goofed up because they don't get to have prom or graduation and a lot of year-end celebrations. So this Adopt a Senior page is a nice way for parents to post about their senior in high school and for any of our community residents to adopt that senior and help promote that senior and talk up that senior. So I just wanted to say thank you to Sean for starting that, and I also wanted to give out a shout out to Eric Luvano, who is a Bremen senior that I adopted. So Eric has worked very hard through his 4 years at Bremen. Besides balancing schoolwork and a part-time job, he played soccer for 4 years. He was on the honor roll all 4 years. He's a member of the National Honor Society and part of the Spanish Honor Society. And he is planning to continue his education and pursue a degree in physical therapy. So shout out to Eric, and also shout out to all of our District 228 seniors this year. We wish them all the best of luck.
Yes, ma'am.
Next thing, I just wanted to let the board know that during this, and you probably already know this, but just wanted to reiterate, during the governor's stay-at-home executive order, the building department has not been issuing any citations or putting out any reminders to any property owners with regards to property maintenance, with the exception of if the property isn't, has a life safety emergency type of repair situation, then it's a need. But that doesn't mean that our inspectors have not been out in the community. They have been out in the community, they've been driving the community, they've been taking notes in the community. Superintendent Weiner and I just had discussion late this afternoon that now that the weather is getting better, the inspectors are going to be reaching out to property owners, not just residential property owners, but all property owners, with regards to grass, weeds, and an extra amount of rubbish and trash on their property. So those property owners will start to receive some communications from the building department inspectors. Once the stay-at-home order is lifted, the building department will be reaching out to all the property owners with regards to property maintenance items that need to be addressed. So I just wanted to let the board know that that is still on our radar and it's still being looked at and we're taking notes. Next thing I want to discuss is the fee schedule. So I sent everybody on Friday the fee schedule. My computer here at home is pretty old, so it wouldn't let me open up the red line because it said it was too complicated. So I had to go to the village hall to do it. So I sent you a red line document, and then Superintendent Weiner and I reviewed that, and I sent you a clean document that had just a couple of revisions in there based on our conversation. So there are a few comments from Superintendent Weiner that I do have to change. It's basic with wording. It's not really anything substantive regarding the actual dollar amounts of any of the fees. So I'll make those changes and send them to you. I did speak with Tom, our health inspector, and he was pretty much in agreement to Superintendent Weiner's recommendation with regards to the charges to the businesses for their 2 semi-annual health inspections. As you know, the village has been charging all the businesses that are required to have a health inspection. They usually get 2 a year. The first inspection, the $50 is included in their annual business license fee. He's definitely in favor of the fact that the village should be charging for the second annual fee. And also, if he needs to go back for re-inspections, the first re-inspection, as it's written here on page 6, If he goes back to do a reinspection and all the violations are cured, then there would be no fee. But if he has to continue to go back, then the fee would go up to $50 for the first reinspection. If code violations are not cured, the next inspection would be $100, and all subsequent inspections would be $100. And that would be the same if he needs to close the business and then do a reinspection in order for them to open.
Isn't that what it currently is?
I don't remember what we're currently charging them to go back and reinspect. Nick, do you?
Yeah, what's happened is they've only been charged their $50 as part of their business license, and that was the only fee they were charged.
Oh.
They weren't charged for the second visit for the year, and they weren't charged a lot of times after multiple re-inspections. They're just charged straight $50, and that was put on as part of our business licensing fee.
Now, is that consistent with our inspections too? I mean, don't we double it if there's a violation? And,
No, that wasn't being done.
okay.
But we're going to be doing it now. And again, I want to remind everyone that it's not the building department's intention to issue citations. What we want is compliance. So we're hoping that if these businesses realize that if they continue to not follow ordinances and they continue to be in violation, it's going to cost them. So hopefully, we're hoping that that'll give them some incentive to follow the ordinances and, make sure that we don't have any health inspection problems. So Tom was in favor of this language. Does anybody have any other questions or concerns?
I have a couple comments I'd like to make.
Okay.
So the fee increase is basically going to be on the commercial property, not the residential, is what I got from that schedule.
That is correct, with the exception, on the residential, for new construction, and Superintendent Weiner I believe has instituted some of these fees already. But if we have, on residential new construction on a brand new home, we're not just charging them $105 permit.
We're doing a percentage of the bill.
It's a percentage. Exactly. So the homeowners who need to do typical maintenance items and typical repair items, or, fences, roofs, exterior concrete flat work, window and door replacement, generators, HVAC, water heaters. That type of work will still be charged at the base fee of $55 plus the $50 inspection.
My only concern is, you mentioned that this fee increase or this fee schedule has been generated to help with compliance. I mean, is that doing the increase for the commercial properties because people are not complying? Or are we just trying to be up there with the Joneses to make sure that our fee schedule is comparable to other communities?
With regards to the commercial is the same thing. Well, the commercial fees have been increased $50 and $55 and $75 and $75.
Okay, what is the reasoning for that?
What happens is that the inspections or permits that are for like a small business, a water heater's a water heater. If they want to go and replace the furnace in a small business, however, get that for commercial, what happens is somebody goes to $50,000 roof on it, takes your bottom line or look at it, that's why $6,000, $7,000, and they're paying $105 just like as you homeowner are paying $1,000 or $2,000 to get your air conditioner changed. So what's happening is based on the percentage, the 1.7% we have, they're being paid proportionally more for the higher cost of the permit.
I understand that.
For big jobs.
Yeah, my question is for the little jobs. Why are we increasing it from 50 to 75?
So,
Oh, boy.
it says in there that shingles, roofs, generators, and a few other items on there, the fee is basically up to 1.6%.
We did change it to 75 plus 75.
Right, because it's a business.
Right, the residential fee is 55 and 50. The commercial fee is 75 plus 75.
In the past, wasn't it 50 and 55 for commercial?
Correct.
Correct.
So we're raising it to 75. That's my question. Why are we doing that? It may seem like a small amount, but my concern is that we got water fees going up. Now we got just permit fees going up. If there's a purpose for raising this permit fee, I could see that, but I don't really see a permit fee increase if there isn't a reason why we're doing it, other than just to increase it.
We're increasing the fees, one, because usually commercial takes longer, and two, fees haven't been increased since 2012.
I understand that.
That's the fee increase came out.
Well, I am not in favor at all of raising commercial properties at this time. You know, maybe if we put that into a fee schedule increase down the road, incorporate fee increases on our businesses, we don't even know which businesses are going to come back and still be able to be open. So why would we increase their fees for anything unless we absolutely have to? And I don't think this is an absolutely have to.
But the thing is, that's for the board to decide. But when this project started, it was months ago before the coronavirus took over and changed the way we do business. So that's why the fees were changed the way they were. And it's just taken that long for this document to come to fruition and it be part of the discussion. So that's amongst the board members. I'm just putting in there that commercial takes longer, cost of permits are more, they should pay a proportion more based on the cost.
Well, is it also,
My feelings are not going to change. I don't believe that this is a good time to increase commercial properties. That's all I have to say.
Did Carl have, did somebody else have?
wasn't part of the reason to revise the fee schedule is to add clarity to designate the residential from the business, to make the fees more clear for everybody that looks at it? And isn't there more work, physical work involved on businesses than there is on residential properties to do the whole process?
Yes, sometimes, yes, there is.
Okay. Well, I'd like to see it being, up for the board approval. We've been talking about updating the fees for, as long as I can remember. So I would like to move forward if we can, as soon as possible.
I intend on bringing this document to the board for approval as soon as possible, but I wanted to make sure that I had everybody's input as to what fees that we should charge, because I understand Superintendent Weiner's point of view. Doing commercial inspections on the commercial property does take more time. It's more involved. It takes more time for the inspectors to handle it because of the nature of a commercial property versus a residential property. But I also understand, Jerry's point of view too, and not wanting to put a lot of big increases on our business community. So what is the board's pleasure? Does anybody else have any other input on this?
Well, I think we do have to be sensitive. There was a hospitality grant, and unfortunately, nobody in Midlothian.
Do you know how many applied, Karen?
In the state of Illinois,
No. How many
do not have that information.
Okay.
Just to give you some perspective, there were 12,000 applications and 700 awards, okay? And I've tried to talk to some of the businesses. I've been reaching out. Some are doing okay, some are not. So I know the PPP has been an issue for businesses receiving that funding as well. So I see Superintendent Weiner's point, but I also know working with the businesses and trying to support them and promote economic development. I think we know that in 6 months, we're probably going to have a number of businesses that do not reopen, or if they do, they will close shortly thereafter. So I think whatever decision we make, we've really got to take that into consideration. We don't want more vacant storefronts, and I think unfortunately that's going to happen here, not just here, it's going to happen everywhere.
So, are we talking the increase that I mean, I feel the same way. It's, you know, we're in a catch-22. We have, you know, the fees haven't been changed. They cost more. It takes more manpower. All of that. But how much is the actual change? $25? Is that what we're talking about?
25 and 50.
It's actually, for the businesses, it would be a total of $45. Right now, everyone's charged $55 for the permit and $50 for the inspection, which is $105. So we will increase for the commercial permit and inspection for that same minor work is only going up $45.
Then the re-inspection would double, so it would be an additional $50 too. If a re-inspection was needed.
And it says, yes, if a re-inspection is needed. But that's, a re-inspection is needed if it's due to inaccurate information or lack of correct information on the plan or the permit, faulty construction, poor workmanship, or a code violation or ordinance violation.
And am I correct in assuming that our business licenses have already been done for 2020?
Yes.
Yeah.
So for the most part, this is going to be just new businesses that come into town between now and the end of the year?
Well, no, what we're talking about, Sandy, is not business licenses. We're talking about
Permit fees.
permit. We're talking about permit fees. So once this is adopted via resolution, if a business came in and applied for a permit to do, because they needed to change their HVAC unit, then they would be charged a $5 permit fee and a $75 inspection fee.
So,
The other thing too, you were mentioning that the time constraint on inspectors is greater for commercial properties. Not necessarily all the time, because a lot of the small projects commercial properties do that require permit fees are no different than residential. Whether it's putting in a new door, you know, putting a wall up, downwing something, putting in windows. Time is the same based on most commercial properties. We don't have many commercial properties that are high-rise, multi-entrances or windows or large facilities that are under construction. So, I mean, that's the point I'm trying to get, is that if we're not changing anything when it comes to commercial property, I don't think they're getting anything more out of their increase. I just think we're charging them a lot for the service.
But this is food for thought. Is it fair? Is it fair that our residential community pays the same as the commercial community? Or is it fair that the commercial community pays the residential community?
Since we be up that way, I would want to change it.
They're income producing businesses.
well, it sounds like there's leaning towards keeping it the same as for that permit for the business, but it's up to you, Trustee Cavney, what you want to bring to the board, and the board gets to decide yes or no.
Okay, does anybody have any other questions or comments with regards to all of any of the other sections in this document? Most of the fees have stayed the same, with the exception of, I believe, some of the sewer tap fees have been updated. Reason being is because the cost of actually doing this work has been increased, so those have been updated. Also, we updated, where was it?
We also updated the cost of water meters, because the water meters amount that they cost have changed.
Yes.
So Michelle has given me all the numbers for the water meter cost.
And that's on page 3. That's for the water and sewer tap fees and the meter fees. So the village is not making any money on these, this is just a pass-through.
Yeah, I just think the timing is really bad.
It is really bad, Jerry, but should the village be subsidizing these on behalf of anybody? If we don't align these fees to what it costs the village, then the village is subsidizing it.
And in the past, what we've done is we've done our homework and told them what was going on. Here, we're just gonna drop a bomb and say, hey, we're raising these because we changed meters, but we didn't charge. Why didn't we charge when we changed meters? That's the point I'm getting at. Just coming along and saying, well, our water taps cost more, our meters cost more. They've costed more for how long? Why didn't we increase it, or why didn't we educate them that we're going to increase it prior to this? What we're doing, and these increases are going to go into effect.
Well, Jerry, you know what? The fees haven't been increased since 2012. I don't know what's happened in those past years. I don't know why the village board or the prior building department, it's never brought this to the board to increase the fees to keep up. I'm not, again, on the water tap and meter fees, I was under the impression that the village was charging for the meters. It's just that the cost of the meters has gone up, so we're increasing, we're changing our fee to the same fee of what the meter is. It's passed through.
I don't disagree with you. I just think we're doing it wrong.
But how should we be doing it?
Yeah, we should educate the residents before we do an increase, so they're aware of why we're doing it, not just do it. That's the part I don't get.
And how do we go about educating them on these increases?
Well, when we put the new Badger meters in, we should have done it then. I mean, that's been over 2 years ago, and now we're going to increase the fees for these. When water taps went up, we should have done it if we're just doing inspection for permits for commercial property. I would rather see a permit fee go up for complex construction work, not simple construction work or simple inspection fees. Fees that is going to take a half an hour for the inspector to go check a door isn't going to change anything, but our fees are going up. Yeah, because we're hiring more people and we're creating more jobs. I understand that. But I just think the way we're educating the residents is not something that is going to sit well with them, especially in this day and age. And that is my big concern. We're just going to force people to just say, you know what, I can't do this anymore. We're going to shut their doors.
Okay, now, going back to these, first of all, the residents and the business community are all well aware that they have to pay fees when they do construction, not only in our village, but in any village. And again, the residential fees are not going up. There was a proposal on the table to raise the commercial fee for their simple permit inspection to $75 and $75. But if the board would rather not do that and have that increase right now, I can leave it at 55 and 50 and leave it the same. With regards to these water and sewer taps, my understanding was that these were for new taps and new meters. So it would be on a new construction item.
Okay.
Don, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so this is for new construction items. So if someone comes to the village and they want to build a new property, a new house, a new commercial property, whatever it is, they have to pay for their meter. It's not unusual.
I'm just saying it's unusual communities to do increases at the extent of what's going on with this pandemic. That's the only drawback I have.
Okay.
Aren't we also scheduled to roll out new Badger meters, Don, this coming year?
It's been talked about. I don't know, Superintendent Ferry wants to add this much or not, but it's been talked about answer
Getting worse.
Of meters that are not up up to date, and it's been talked about to roll it out so that all the meters are the same. And all the.
Don, I can't
Yeah.
Basically, what Don's trying to say is we're rolling out new meters to replace the old meters so that we have all the same meters to do the same capturing using the same system, electronic system.
There's still some old meters out there.
Okay.
All right.
But just to be clear, this fee schedule is not contemplating charging homeowners for replacement of their home meter. That's not what this is about.
Right.
It's new construction for new taps. Right.
This is for new stuff. And my understanding was the village was already charging for this new
New
stuff.
construction.
Right. Okay. The
All right.
other section where the fees have increased would be on page 8, the completion bonds. Now keep in mind, completion bonds are reimbursable. However, due to the cost to complete some of the work, for example, if a street or a sidewalk is opened, the cost to make that final repair and get it back to its original condition has increased. So that's the reason why the bond has increased.
Okay.
If the contractor completes the work, they come to the village, they get their final inspection that the work has been done, the street's been, or sidewalk's been repaired properly, they submit the paperwork, they get their bond reimbursed to them.
Perfect.
Okay? Now, we did go so far as to include a demolition bond, and the reason why we did that was based on what happened to the, based on our experience with the meat market. I also, in this language, also stated that surety bonds will not be accepted. You'll accept a cash bond or a letter of credit. And that's based on the experience that the village had with the prior owner of Blueberry Hill. So this document still needs to, have a few more updates done to it, as I mentioned earlier. And I'll take Jerry's comments under consideration with regards to the permit fee and the inspection fee for the minimal work for the commercial businesses.
Okay. Anything else?
Anybody else have any other questions?
No.
Okay.
Anything else today?
That's all I have.
Thank you, ma'am. Trustee Kiley.
Mayor, I do have a couple questions here. The state of the village address, is there any thought to postponing it or doing it online, considering that Governor's Pritzker's 5-phase plan wouldn't allow us to do the live village, stated village district maps?
Yeah. Both of those ideas are on the table. It may get,
Really, we couldn't even do a stated village address until we get to phase 5. So,
and we may do that. That's still, right now it's scheduled for June 11th, and it may get postponed, or we may do a virtual State of the Village address. So
okay.
both things are on the table.
Okay. Number 2, the plan committee
Is anybody else having trouble hearing Don?
Yes.
Yes.
Not here.
Upgrade your internet.
And Don, why don't you give me a call after the meeting, we'll talk about your connection.
Okay, great. Plan Commission gave us some recommendations about up to zone.
Don, we can't hear you.
We got none.
Okay.
You're gonna have to email us, I think.
Mayor the Plan Commission gave us some recommendations about how to implement some of the expected cannabis businesses. Okay.
Hey, Dan, why don't you call us?
There, and then hopefully they'll, yeah, we'll leave that alone today.
Okay,
That's all, Mayor.
all right, thank you. Trustee Crowley?
Hi, Mayor, thank you. Just a couple things. First, I just wanted to let everybody know that the week of May 10th is National Police Officer Week, and the community.
Mayor, why don't you go on and, yes. Okay. Why don't I call?
Call.
We're in time delay here.
Why don't I call? Okay.
Are we in the twilight zone?
No, he's got a time delay because of how his internet, Comcast uses the internet. So he's losing throughput, basically, when he's communicating with video and sound. So it'd probably be easier if he uses his phone to call us instead of using the video connection and using the Zoom via phone.
All right, Trustee Crowley?
The squirrel fell off the wheel.
Thank you, Mayor, again. I just wanted to let everybody know that next week, the week of May 10th, is National Police Week. The CPC will be providing lunch and treats for the police department in appreciation. We rolled out today our Masks for Midlothian program. It was uploaded to the website and to Facebook. A couple updates. Mayor LaRue has donated an additional 500 masks to the program. So we now are starting out with 1,000 masks that we'll be able to provide to our residents. He also informed me right before the meeting that, and some of you might have heard it, that he did have an email where he was able to request another 4,500 masks that we could add to our mask collection to hand out to residents.
It was 48.
48.
I apologize, 4,800.
That's what they told me. We'll see what comes.
Yeah, so we have that in the pipeline. I have a flyer that I will be putting out on Facebook, and the village has put it up on the website regarding this and how the process is going to go. So I will tag all of you in it, and thank you everybody. And if you still need to pay, if you're participating in the program for the first part of the donation, you can just make your check out to Village of Midlothian, Masks for Midlothian, and Maggie will put it in the account accordingly. It was put on the water bill, so that went out with this water bill mailing. And as of the start of this meeting, it went up, I think it went up, if I'm correct, if I read the timestamp correct, that Sharon emailed me about 3 o'clock this afternoon. As of the start of this meeting, we already had 13 requests.
Nice.
So I think people are going to really appreciate it, and I do think that it will be something that, I think they'll be glad that the board decided to move forward on. Next thing on my list is roofs and parking courts. So about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we did change all of the May court dates and push them out to June, which is, hopefully we will start our, the governor's phased in open Illinois. But I do have serious concerns about the fact that even with opening up, there will still be strict social distancing requirements. And so I believe that we are going to need to figure out a way to not have 75 or 80 people in our village hall when these courts go on. So I am going to send an email, unless somebody's already done it, or taken care of it or has it on their agenda, I'm going to send an email to the building department, Trustee Caveney, Mayor LaRue, myself, and Chief Delaney, and regarding the 2 courts, because I think our departments are the 2 ones that are involved. And we will have to come up with a way to hold these courts and do social distancing. I truly think that as much as nobody likes it, I think Zoom might be an option for people who want to call in. But if not, we may have to do staggered times so that we don't have more than 8 or 9 people in the entire chambers at a time once we start opening up. So I think it's going to be a work in progress. It's going to take some time and some coordination. Trustee Caveney, I am assuming you'll want to be a part of this with me?
Yes.
Superintendent Weinert, I'm assuming you're going to want to be a part of this with me?
Yes.
Just as a FYI, I'm planning a departmental safety meeting next week to discuss how we're going to open up the village. We already came up with a plan for the administration and front area, roughly on how we think it should work. We can include the courts as well as part of the departmental safety meeting and work out all the details that way.
So my concern with that would be is that if we wait another week to do this, I mean, if we're going to start doing Zooms, remember, people have to be set notices. Now, I'm not looking to take on more responsibility, Trustee Ivins, so if you'd like to take over the whole process and how that's going to work, that's completely up to you.
I thought we would partner together at the departmental safety meeting, so that way the department heads can tell us what they need to follow that edict by the governor.
He said work together, you and him.
So if you'd like to be a part of that, Trustee Ivins, I will include you on the email then.
Thank you.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. And so if anybody else would like to be part of the plan to do that, please just let me know and I'll include you on the email. And I think that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you, ma'am. Attorney Valdez.
Okay, just to let the board know that as a result of the governor's order with regard to masks, the village and local authorities are pretty much the ones responsible for enforcing said order. Across the country, there have been increasing movements and incidents of hostility towards innocent parties and sometimes even local authorities. We've had a park ranger pushed into a lake. We've had a security guard at a dollar store shot and killed. And we've had another security guard at a Dollar Tree, not anywhere in Illinois, who had their shirt wiped with the mucus from a customer who was asked to put on a mask. These were all results of simply asking people to put on a mask. The reason I bring that up is to make sure that the board knows, and I will convey to the police department, that across the country, doesn't matter north, south, east, west, the courts have been holding that a police officer does have the authority to enforce a governor's order to wear a mask. And given that store workers are pretty much helpless, they can lose their job, they can get reprimanded if they don't ask people to wear masks, they shouldn't be left on their own if they get a hostile reaction to them. Other than that, the remaining matters I have will be under closed session.
Thank you, sir. All I have on my agenda tonight is the quote from Third Millennium, as I told everyone in the email. Sunday night, Monday morning, talking about opening back up. There is no safe way to open up that front office, especially this time of year. It just is not possible. So I directed Treasurer Britton to move forward with a contract with Third Millennium. I was a bit off on my number. It's actually $13,200 to get it going the first year. Again, some of that will be offset by us not paying for printing and mailing, and then it goes down substantially every year after that. So I will have it on the agenda because of the cost attached. I'll have it on the consent agenda for approval next week.
Could I just ask a question? So how the system is going to work is Third Millennium is going to mail the applications to the residents.
Correct.
And what will the residents be instructed specifically to do so that they're not all coming into Village Hall?
They'll be putting their payment in an envelope and sending it back to Third Millennium.
Okay, I guess my only concern is we're probably, in a perfect world that would work, but my concern is we're gonna have the people that come every year to Village Hall to purchase their sticker.
Yes, and we'll be prepared for that. We'll have stickers on hand for some that still want to come here and do it that way. But it'll be socially distanced, one or two at a time in the front office, so not hundreds and hundreds and hundreds every day, so. We'll still have that option.
I think the Third Millennium process could probably work pretty well. We would have to do some heavy, all of us to share it on Facebook, on the village Facebook, on all of our personal Facebooks.
Yes.
Put it on the newspaper to let them know. And when I was looking at different municipalities for the fees, work I was doing on the fees list, I noticed, I believe there were 2 municipalities that use Third Millennium, and I noticed that they had a link on their village website where the residents who are comfortable with using the computer could go to Third Millennium and they could do their transaction automatically on the computer. They didn't have to send a check in the mail.
Right, Third Millennium will set us up with that for our website.
Okay, so I think that would work out very nicely for a lot of our residents also. Or, we certainly have a good handful of residents who pay their water bill through PSN, so hopefully they'll be willing to also buy their village sticker that way.
Nice. Okay.
I have just one question for Trustee Ivan about the process with this. With regards to having access for the police department to know who has paid their pet fees and possibly the village, the sticker fees, does that process change for the police department, or will everything for them stay the same with Third Millennial getting and logging in the payments?
Well, it'll be a new report, but it should be the same process and procedure, should be the same.
So nothing will change. They'll still do exactly what they're doing and they won't have to have access to any other system or do anything that, I just want to make sure, because I know it's coming up quick. And
I'm not a firm believer in giving other departments additional work on the process that we're implementing if we don't have to. So I don't see any new education process or training required for that department.
can you say that again? I didn't hear you.
There won't be any new processes or training or anything they'll need to go forward. Okay.
I have a question on this, and I'm trying to recall from the Third Millennium presentation. And Trustee Ivan, you may remember this or not, I'm not sure. But do I recall the representative from Third Millennium telling us that they would offer a service to match our database with the Illinois Secretary of State?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Are we going to take advantage of that service?
Yes.
Okay. And I presume they will tell us how many hits they found of vehicles that are registered here that have not purchased stickers in the past?
Well,
And then we will applications?
yes, more than likely, we will get current up-to-date information on vehicles that are registered in Midlothian versus people that are buying stickers that have not registered their automobile in Midlothian.
Right, but I want to be sure that we are also sending applications to those people too. We should probably be sending them tickets too, but let's start with applications.
So that would be a new process, sir, right?
Well, that would be the same process that we currently use for that same situation. I mean, it's a little bit more manually. We make people go out to their cars and get their registration slips to prove that their car is a Midlothian registered car. And then sometimes we have to tell them that they have to re-register their car at the DMV.
I think what Clerk Moss was saying is that there's a number of people that have never gotten a vehicle sticker but have a car registered here. The state of Illinois has the records of which car.
Yes, we should be able to capture those.
Right.
I just want to be sure that after we capture that, we also send them an application.
Right.
Right,
Exactly.
we don't want it falling through the cracks, we want it to follow through, because you're correct, I think, Alan, it was 2 years ago that we had the presentation, and she talked about, Elizabeth Baducci talked about the additional revenue the village could capture.
Yeah.
And again, we're not trying to be punitive here, however, if you haven't purchased a vehicle sticker, and they're half price this year,
Yeah. This topic has come up a number of times. I know you remember, Karen.
oh, I do.
And initially there was some fee, like it was several $1,000s. I thought at one point to actually buy that from the state, and it was
garbage.
you're on your own to do your own matching and figuring.
Right.
So I think this is an opportunity where we can upgrade what we're doing by taking advantage of what Third Millennium offers. I actually think it's a good thing. I just want to be sure if that's like an optional service or something we have to request, and we do that from the beginning. Like if we're going to do it, let's do it right.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll check with
absolutely.
them. I'll check with them. All right, Clerk Moscow, do you have anything tonight?
I do have one thing, and it's not on the agenda, but it's actually around an email that I received from a resident today. And I'm hoping that some of the folks who have been on board for a long time, or those who have been residents for a longer time, might be able to help spark my memory. The email says, "Hello, my name is Rebecca. Just under a year ago, I purchased a home at 3710 147th Place in Midlothian. There's a parking lot behind my property. I'm not sure if this is a parking lot for Ocean's Fish and Chicken, the Metro lot, or something else. I have started some landscaping in my backyard, and I need to clean along the fence lines. I would like the public side of my fence to be cleaned and maintained, but I am not sure who to contact about that. If this is something you can help me with, please let me know who I should be contacting. I'm a first-time homeowner, so there's still much that is unfamiliar to me." So I thought this was great. This homeowner reached out to me. Just as a frame of reference, I actually pulled this up on Google Maps because I know exactly where this is at. But this is the house that is immediately east of the parking lot on 147th Place that I think belongs to the church.
It does.
Okay. I can't tell from Ms. Perry's email because she says the parking lot behind me. Her house has 3 parking lots that abut her property. On the west side, it's the lot that belongs to the church. And about 2/3 of her to the Ocean's Fish and Chicken parking lot, and maybe a third or a quarter abuts to, I don't know if that's a Metro lot or a Village lot, on the corner of 147th and Lawndale. I think I'm actually going to call her, or I'll go visit to figure out which one she's talking about, because it could be any one of these 3 parking lots or all of them. But I was fairly certain that the lot belongs to the church, which I think you confirmed. The Ocean's Fish and Chicken one I think is pretty clear, but I didn't know about the corner lot. If that's a village-owned lot, does anybody know, or is that one of the Metro lots? It's a really small lot. Literally across from the storage.
That's the Metro lot, yeah.
It's Metro?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're responsible for maintaining that one then,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Okay, so I will figure out which one this is, but I just wanted to be sure I was not imagining things. That the one lot on the west side was owned by the church. That is all I have.
Thank you, sir.
Alan,
Yep.
should we just have one of the inspectors go over there and take a look?
We don't know which lot she's talking about.
Pardon me?
We don't know which lot she's talking about.
If they want to contact the resident and discuss it, that'd be great. I mean, I have to share.
It could be all 3 lots that need to be cleaned up that are,
Yeah.
so
Okay.
forward that email to Superintendent Weiner, then he'll have, Karina or Fred go over there and take a look and make contact.
Is this the corner house on 147th and 147th and Lawndale?
No, there was actually, so Jerry, the corner house you're talking about on 147th and Lawndale, like the front of that house actually faces Lawndale.
Right.
This is a house just west of there.
Okay.
So there's a driveway between that house and then this house. It's literally on a tiny strip of property that looks almost skinnier than the parking lot, right? And then there's the other house on the other side. There's another house on the other side of the parking lot. So this is the one between the parking lot and the house on the corner.
Yeah, I just was bringing that up because I'm familiar with the house on the corner. I lived there when I was 1, 2, and 3.
This would have been the house right behind it then.
All right. Okay, this time, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn to closed session to discuss litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of a particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal.
Nick doesn't.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We are back in open session. Seeing as no further business coming before the board, I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned.